안녕하세요. 오늘 웨비나에 참석해 주신 여러분들께 감사드립니다. 저는 한국 데이터브릭스에서 유통 소비재 고객과 함께하는 윤주일이라고 합니다. 오늘 웨비나에서는 약 1시간 정도 4개 세션으로 나누어서 여러분들과 데이터에 기반한 비즈니스 혁신에 대한 이야기를 나누려고 하는데요. 먼저 글로벌 유통 소비재 산업 리더인 랍 세이커가 비즈니스 혁신과 성공을 이끄는 방법에 대해서 발표드릴 예정입니다. 이 랍세이커는 유통과 소비재 산업에서 아주 많은 경험을 가지고 있습니다. 그래서 그의 개인적인 경험을 바탕으로 어떻게 기업들이 빠르게 변화하는 환경 속에서 성공을 거둘 수 있었는지에 대해서 심도 있는 인사이트를 제공할 것입니다. 두 번째는 데이터와 AI에 대한 전략을 담당하는 렉시가 넥스트 젠 고객 경험이라는 이름으로 세션을 진행할 예정입니다. 데이터와 인공지능을 활용해서 혁신적인 고객 경험 창출 방안에 대해서 다룰 예정입니다. 경쟁은 점점 치열해지고 있고 고객들의 기대는 점점 높아지고 있습니다. 데이터에 기반한 의사결정이 더욱 중요해지고 있습니다. 관련해서 세계적인 우리 유통기업인 P&G의 데이터 인텔리전스 사례에 대해서 알아보겠습니다.
Hello, and thank you for joining today's session. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to our talk today. In the past, we've spoken a lot about the Databricks intelligence platform, about data and AI and the lakehouse architecture. But as I meet with customers around the globe in retail and consumer goods, I notice that as important as new innovations in data and technology are, and advancements in the space, it's also important for us to revisit the assumptions that we've made historically and not let those constrain our thinking about the ability to move forward. So today, I want to share with you some ideas on how we can unleash the next wave of innovation and growth in retail and consumer goods by looking at 3 things that I think we need to unlearn to drive that success. Interest in AI remains at record levels across all sectors, but especially in retail and consumer goods. Wall Street Journal came out with a report not long ago that talked about of all the industries, retail was expected to have the highest investment level in AI. I think over $30 billion over the next few years. We see this certainly at Databricks with a high level of interest in modernize the data capabilities, the data stack, and investing in artificial intelligence. But what's interesting also is that if you look across the industry over the past year or year and a half, 90% of POCs failed to advance. There were a lot of people that were doing co-pilot evaluations and pilots in the past year, and they were certainly interesting, but they failed. They didn't move forward with only a few that are actually moving into production. And why is this? Well, I think we're coming to this realization in the industry of what generative AI is good at and where there's still challenges. This is the recent hype cycle from Gartner from last fall about the state of technologies there. And if you look at generative AI, it's at the top of the roller coaster, right? It's about to take the plunge. And really what we need to understand are what are some of the key challenges, as well as historic ways of thinking that we need to forget and migrate to new ways of thinking so that we can hopefully start to flatten the curve and really go through that trough of disillusionment, get to the slope of an enlightenment, and really start getting to much greater productivity and value that we're delivering to our companies. So I want to talk about those 3 areas that I'm seeing that are coming up where new ways of doing things are certainly helping us. And really, how does this all come together to really allow us to unlock that productivity and innovation? The first myth that I hear, we can't make decisions on data in real time. You think about historically how companies have done data processing, and it's involved batch processes. A lot of this is because data sits in multiple different systems, and it requires extracting it from those systems and then processing and then integrating that information and processing it more. Think about the entire value chain end to end for retail and consumer goods. It's not just in the four walls of a retailer when inventory comes in through the point that I sell it. It's not just in the four walls of a consumer goods company or a bottler or a distributor where they're making goods and they're moving goods and they're distributing goods. It's really the end-to-end supply chain as I think about it, all the way up to where a plant begins in a field, where it's picked and harvested, where I have raw materials that are coming in for apparel or for consumer electronics, where I have shipping and logistics. And it's all the way downstream when I think about it with consumers, how they're interacting with products, how they're consuming this, behavior changes within there. And then ultimately, it's everything in between. Now, the good news is for the things that we control, companies today are doing a good job of being able to bring information into real time. Advancements such as Delta Lake and Unity Catalog allow us to bring real-time information in and streaming. And in fact, most Databricks customers in the retail and consumer goods space have at least their core operational data sets being brought in near real time. And so we're bringing this information in, but this is just part of it. And this is where I think a new technology, a relatively new technology, which is open source data sharing via Delta sharing, really changes the game. If you think about it, the barrier to real-time information is not just how quickly we load and process data, it's how quickly we can acquire that information from the different sources. And what Delta sharing allows us to do is to have visibility to data in its source system without copying data as it's created. So as soon as it's updated in the source system, I can be viewing it in Delta sharing in real time and have immediate access to that information. Now, this changes the game. You think about the different ways that we see this coming to life. The first is peer-to-peer data sharing. This can be in the form of a retailer and a supplier. Think for out of stocks. What would it mean if a grocery retailer had visibility, gave visibility to a beverage supplier? So the beverage supplier saw when things were going to be out of stock, and they worked with their distributors or their bottlers to make sure that the very next day that product was provided to those retail locations instead of 3-4 days later. We see this in ISV data sharing, software as a service packages, where today it can be complicated to extract information from these source systems and to be able to bring that into my own environment or to reverse ETL and feed that back. Or marketplace, as I want to enrich my understanding of what's happening in the ecosystem. Now, we've invested in major partnerships with leading software as a service providers such as Salesforce, SAP, Aviva, where you don't need to move data out of those systems to be able to take advantage of it within your lakehouse. This is extended further with leading CDP providers such as Imperity, ActionIQ, HighTouch, and Particle, Adobe Experience Platform, and more. In fact, we are having conversations with dozens of leading software providers on how we can better facilitate seamless Delta sharing to enable you to be able to tap into that information in those systems. But it's not just software. I mentioned we have thousands of data sources that are available on our marketplace today from hundreds of suppliers. In the retail space, this can be anything from weather from AccuWeather, or information from Catalina on consumers, or retail point of sale data from Chris, or event data from PredictHQ, on and on. I can immediately take advantage, sign up, and have immediate access to data within my lakehouse without necessarily having to physically move data. Now, when we do this, what we start to see is a wider aperture of data across the entire value chain that's again made available in real time. And I think that we're going to see over the coming years this expand further upstream to suppliers, to raw materials, to logistics partners, and downstream to consumers, delivery partners, consumer devices, and more, to be able to capture more of this information and bring it in so we have a real full-time visibility into what's happening across the entire ecosystem. So that new role that we should be thinking about as we make decisions about our data and AI investments is Streaming and delta sharing unlock end-to-end real-time visibility across the entire value chain. Now, the next assumption. We can only operate from structured data. I can only operate from data that has been extracted, designed, modeled, and loaded into a structured data set. Now, this is a challenge because according to Forrester, only 8% of a company's data exists in a structured form. 92% of data is unstructured. It's in the form of images and video and audio and documents and semi-structured information and on and on. But interestingly, and we think back to the value chain, the areas where we have the least visibility to what's going on are often best understood by the use of unstructured information. I want to share with you a quick video. Now, in this example, this gentleman here has an application on his device that's provided by our partners at Advantage Solutions and Pensa. And what he's doing is he's walking down an aisle and he's recording in about 20 seconds the entire aisle. Now, that artificial intelligence inside the Advantage and Pensa solution is able to take that video and convert that into identifying all those items that are on the shelf. And then it builds a realogram or a physical, actual representation of a planogram, and it turns that into useful information. This is really exciting because in the past, what he did in 20 to 30 seconds would have taken about 20 to 30 minutes with a person that was doing this. They would walk down the aisle, click, enter some information, go a few steps more, click, enter some information. And you can see it took a lot of time, but artificial intelligence is allowing us to access unstructured information and turn it into useful information rapidly. I think we're going to see this extend not just in grocery aisles, but into all aspects of the environment around us. We're going to see this go into areas that have been traditionally underserved. Fresh food staying in the grocery category in terms of produce. But let's skip outside of that and go into apparel and things like fabrics. Or we're going to see things in terms of convenience and what's happening in the pump and promotions. Or we're going to get even to this broader surrounding environment. What's happening experientially in terms of events at sporting stadiums and more. Artificial intelligence is going to allow us to better understand what's happening in the physical world and contextualize that in a digital sense so it can bring that understanding, that wider aperture of data in for analysis. You know, when we look at the value chain again, we have customers that are doing this today. They're looking at satellite imagery and they're looking at what's the precipitation? Is there a drought? Are there wildfires? And other physical factors that they can detect through satellite imagery for their local farms. So that if I'm sourcing cocoa from West Africa and I see that I'm at risk there because of temperatures and drought, perhaps I need to shift with advance notice to Guyana and get more of my product from there. We're seeing this on the shop floor where looking visually and listening to devices can tell me as much as what sensors. And so we're looking at how do we have product extruding from extruders, such as cheesy puffs, coming out of that. Do they visually look appropriate for what we expect? And if not, perhaps it's due to humidity, other factors, or a setting on the device, and they can optimize those settings automatically. But it's also downstream, looking at social media information for fashion trends or for other ways that people are interacting with and consuming brands for things such as cosmetics or apparel or fashion, and using that information to understand what are emerging trends and where are emerging trends so that we can better develop new products and market new products. Now, we announced a partnership just a couple of weeks ago with Shutterstock. And what Shutterstock allows us to do is to actually go in and take full advantage of their over 500 million images in the Shutterstock repository and to use this to start building out better AI capabilities with imagery. Now, you think about it historically, what's been the challenge here? been licensing of images for use in marketing and copy. Shutterstock has hundreds of millions of royalty-free images. The technology has already existed, but now with data sharing via delta sharing and unstructured information with Shutterstock, we can start to really unlock the potential of driving innovation. And you see on the right, we created a quick demo of this using AI to bring together different types of shoes on how we can start to ideate around new shoe designs. So the new role in this space, we can leverage all types of data to understand the world around us. Okay, on to the third myth. Enabling decision makers requires an army of analysts between IT and the business. Think about your organization. Today, you probably have a core team of IT engineers, developers, business intelligence developers. They're creating the core data sets and maybe the universes and a few core reports. Then you probably have a small army of people who are in the business who are power users, maybe a couple hundred users. They're building the reports. They're the people that send the reports out to everybody. And when you have a question, you don't go to IT, you go to the small army of users and you say, I have a question. Now, the challenge with this is that you have a lot of back and forth, and you're required to go through this intermediary to get answers, and you're dependent on the skill and experience of those intermediaries. This is where I think AI starts to come in. In fact, we've invested heavily in this space, and data intelligence engine is what really brings this to life. Now, what underpins this is Unity Catalog and Databricks. Data itself, transactional information itself, doesn't have context, but how a data is shaped, how a data is processed, and how people interact with that data via the form of queries and even documents that describe that data help us understand the context of how that data is used. So we can take the combination of transactional data along with the context from Unity Catalog to power AI that allows an end user to directly go against information. Now, when we bring this to life, this is an example that we have. So again, we have crisp data on the right, on the left, via delta sharing. So I'm not physically moving crisp data. It's point of sale data sitting at crisp, accessed via delta sharing. I've loaded data dictionaries describing the data in crisp so it understands it in my business language. And I have the data registered in Unity Catalog, and I've got a lot of context information in there. Along the right, what you see is a user asking in our Genie AI BI tool questions in plain language. They're asking, what's the top selling products, or what are the greatest declining products? They're asking us to rank this. They're saying, which geographies am I having the most problems with? And they're getting direct answers to this. No longer does a business user need to go through an analyst to get answers. They can go directly in the tool. They can ask a specific question and get an immediate response answering their question. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, AI BI is going to be the default way that end users interact with their data, because it's going to bypass that middleman. It's going to allow them to get to the direct response, the direct answer to the question that they want. So the new role, you can provide direct answers to the front line with AI-powered tools. Now, Albert Einstein created this great idea about 100 years ago, this concept, and he called it combinatory play. And what he meant with this idea of combinatory play has been evolved. And you see companies like Google and others that have evolved with it, called combinatory innovation. It's the idea that innovation doesn't come from just any one area. Play doesn't just come from one area, but it comes from when you combine different forms of play or innovation together. When I bring together a web browser and a map application on a web browser with a mobile phone, I no longer need a GPS device in my car. I have it on my phone. And so we see the combination of innovation really leading to new innovation and breakthroughs here. And when we bring together the idea of delta sharing and real-time information streaming, when we bring that with generative AI to unlock unstructured information, and then lastly, we bring that together with the idea of generative AI to interpret the information, we kind of get this really interesting space that's going to allow the next wave of breakthroughs in AI in retail. So going back to our value chain, what does this mean in the near term for where we're seeing companies? Well, we're seeing already today this evolution, this adoption of how do we focus first on using AI to eliminate inefficiencies, frontline assistance, store associate searches, marketing copy creation, where I can take unstructured information, where I can take it via delta sharing and various source systems without moving it, and I can use generative AI to eliminate waste and to generate greater efficiencies. The step where a lot of the lean customer companies are working today is in the next step about doing existing things better with virtual agents. Can I start to augment call centers? Can I do things with audience selection when I'm doing campaigns? And then we're even seeing some areas in terms of product development selection, product concept design, etc. And these are all things that we're going to see in the next 18 months as companies move forward. But where am I really excited about? Well, I think there's some things that are going to be really big breakthroughs in the industry. So some moonshots that I predict are going to happen in retail consumer goods over the next 3 to 5 years. First, I think you're going to start to see software as a service where the software company has zero data, a fully composable architecture. Already starting to see 1 or 2 companies that are building this mindset. The next thing, one-to-one real-time personalization to the edge. If you think about it today, most personalization, especially for copy and imagery, etc., is still to a small segment. It may be thousands of users. It's still better than what it was in the past, but we're not doing true one-to-one. Generative AI will allow us to get to one-to-one as we scale it out and bring down the cost of generation. Third, and this is a big one, real-time physical awareness via AI. You saw it with Advantage Solutions and Pensa, the ability to, in 20 seconds, capture the entire conditions in a frozen aisle of a grocery space. I think you're going to see more and more of this, where the generative technology AI is able to better understand the physical world around us and in real time convert that into signals that we can use. I led by talking about, I think we're going to end visibility across the supply chain, all the way upstream to suppliers. The big barrier here is the cost to deploy the technology into often small providers. But with delta sharing, that's free and open source, and with generative AI that can start to enable access and sharing of information by even a smartphone, we start to have this type of potential. And then lastly, I think we're going to see also like AI creative to additive manufacturing and retail. I think you're going to see people that are going to go from, again, this kind of idea of mass personalization, where I can start to iterate on, let's say, a shirt design or a shoe design online, create my options. We're going to have manufacturers that are able to take that idea and to convert that into something that I can use and manufacture and ship directly to me. So if I'm an Adidas or a Nike or a New Balance or a Skechers, I can start to create shoes that are customized based on the designs that consumers created in conjunction with my core designs. The next few years are going to be absolutely incredible and exciting. And we're thrilled to be part of this journey with you.
Thanks for having me at the Virtual Retail Forum. This is Lexi from Databricks, and I'm here to talk with you about driving the next generation of customer experience by leveraging data and AI to transform your customer engagement. What we've seen over the past year at Databricks in working with over 1,000 retail and consumer goods companies is that customer experience continues to be a top priority. It's a topic in probably 80% of the discussions that we have. It's one area where there are many needs across the organization that are all solved by a common capability. Companies want to drive greater incremental sales using recommendation engines, whether that's in digital from apps or mobile or e-commerce or other channels online. But personalization doesn't end there. They want to be able to bring that digital experience into a personalized physical experience in store, combining on and offline channels into that true omni-channel customer journey. With data privacy regulations, companies are now focusing additionally on building first-party relationships, starting to move away from cookies. Of course, we've all heard about the cookieless future, and also trying to use generative AI to tailor messaging and create increased personalization without necessarily compromising any of that privacy. And then finally, this new advent of retail media networks is creating a massive shift in where brands are spending their promotion and advertising dollars, and also generating new revenue streams for retailers who are supporting them. But these are all possible only because you're developing rich insights and engagement with your consumers. That all leads then to a tremendous potential for revenue impact. We're seeing 3 to 7% increase in retailer gross revenue based on using data and AI effectively and targeting your consumers. Within a few months, companies can generate savings by eliminating marketing efficiencies. So for example, one customer of ours reduced their duplicate records by 54%, allowing them to cut their ad spend in half for the same effect because you're actually targeting the same people. Many Databricks customers have also built their personalization engines on Databricks. There are dozens of different touch points in e-commerce that can be improved through personalized engagement, and when combined with real-time capabilities, can help you to identify when companies are in the right, or rather, when consumers are in the right buying moment. And finally, this emphasis on developing a rich first-party relationship with consumers creates an opportunity for retailers to host their own retail media network. Brands favor and invest in retail media networks that have a rich ability to target consumers and measure impact, as well as to get insights about those consumers so that they can make more strategic investment decisions. What we're seeing there is that there's a tremendous trend towards using these retail media networks. In our work with firms, one of the concerns was that the retail media networks were simply cannibalizing other promotional spends, but that's absolutely not true. It's not what we're seeing at all. Brands are shifting ad spend in some instances, but it's usually from the likes of Facebook or Google or other large advertising platforms. And that's because the ROI of retail media networks is based on their ability to measure that and gain a tremendous return on those investments is provable. Retail media networks really are the new hybrid trade spend, enabling brands to drive volume with greater agility and measurement. And this is fueling tremendous growth with the prediction from Reuters, or rather from Group M that was published in Reuters, showing that it is likely to overtake television in terms of ad spend by 2028. But how do we get there? We first need to reduce the complexity in our existing data ecosystems to unlock the innovation that we are looking for in driving revenue, that market share, and margin improvement. So in these ecosystems, we need to bring everything together and fuel both the data side and the AI side. So why are we struggling here? We've been on this journey as marketers for a long while. Well, it comes down to the fact that companies are still just trying to keep the lights on with existing customer experience platforms. There are data silos that require massive integrations and that consume your development and operating budget and time. Those silos and legacy systems are not able to handle the real-time engagement metrics and data flows that are coming in. The silos also prevent companies from getting to that 360-degree view of a consumer, making it challenging to be able to eliminate the duplications we were talking about. And then also, as we go into our new wave of digital tracking, the elimination of third-party cookies is placing a greater need on leveraging first-party relationships and either first or zero-party data sharing. The legacy systems that we've created to support all of this simply cannot activate across our modern growth channels. And we need to be able to do that while still, of course, maintaining data privacy and regulatory compliance, which can be costly. So what we're seeing is that while marketers are saying it's very important to have real-time data, to be able to activate in new ways, less than half of companies that we're working with are currently collecting this data across a variety of their performance metrics. That's from Forrester. Well, thankfully, the data intelligence platform simplifies customer data management by providing those capabilities for real time, breaking down the silos, and finding new ways to leverage the existing capabilities you have from your ecosystem, but also bringing in new technologies. So, for example, you can leverage the data intelligence platform's unified storage that's multi-cloud to be able to break down those silos from a cloud perspective, start bringing your data together so that you can activate across a 360-degree view of your customer. You can leverage it for advertising and streamlining your design and development and creating AI from the data that you have. That's your owned and controlled data to be able to create those personalized messages, driving greater execution by creating real-time visibility, being able to activate in real time, creating that omni-channel view, being able to create a single, seamless, frictionless journey for your customer from e-commerce and mobile all the way through to in-store. The data intelligence architecture was designed for customer experience. There's cost-efficient architecture, allowing you to process again in batch in real time and optimize based on how you want to have a preference for whether it's a cost or speed so that you can ensure you're meeting your SLAs. And you can manage real-time ETL costs efficiently and effectively for things like clickstream data that are going to be in real time. You protect and govern that customer data and consumer data directly in the same platform using consistent monitoring for usage and lineage to be able to protect from unauthorized use, allowing you to see across multi-cloud and multi-region to create a single pane of glass and govern in one place. And then also to be able to securely share and monetize data across your business and ecosystem, meaning that you can then activate for partners, create those retail media networks with additional insights for the brands that are advertising, and share for other reasons as well, and support that from a secure perspective, making sure that none of that consumer data is getting out to anyone else. From a warehousing perspective and application support, you can power real-time apps with low latency insights based on having online available information and having that real-time data flowing in. Additionally, you can create dashboards that are real-time and alerts so that you're not having to be reactive in what's going on in your platform. You can actually proactively change and address issues. And you can make any information that's coming in incrementally available so that you're not waiting for the next batch or the next update. It's constantly and continually updating. And then the data intelligence platform finally has all the capabilities you need to train AI models and serve them from the inference stack. That includes being able to bring in models that are already available. So to take, shape, or make, meaning to use an existing model, fine tune or retrain a model, or to create your own models, whether that's in generative AI or machine learning. And of course, that data and ML model is available in real time to streaming apps as needed. So an example of how this comes together is in a composable CDP architecture, meaning composable customer data platform. Databricks works with your customer experience technologies and extends the capabilities with this rich data management and AI functionality. So this could, for example, include bringing in data from your clickstream, e-commerce, loyalty, point of sale, and third-party software, bringing that in for structured and from unstructured and structured formats. All of your data comes into a single environment, meaning that you're able to access that information And then from that, having that data together, you're able to then do identity resolution and help eliminate that duplication of records and ensure that you have a full view of the customer, right? This is all based just on the kind of foundations of the data intelligence platform, that unified data storage, which is cloud storage that you own, ensuring that you control and govern your information. Unity Catalog, that unified governance layer to secure it and ensure that you have the appropriate access controls in place. Creating insights then from that, and ensuring that you have the ability to ask your data questions, to interact with that information in a data intelligence engine, and then to produce any additional machine learning, BI, AI, anything that you're looking for in terms of insights. And that's really where we start to go into this understand. So from there, you can include additional models, whether that's your own or even third parties, being able to create insights, drive targeting, drive audience activation, and then finally activate. Share that data out seamlessly to your activation endpoints and get your campaigns moving. So you can see next-gen customer experience unleashes innovation with both data and Gen AI. From the perspective of Databricks, we used to be the lakehouse company. The data lakehouse was really the base of the data intelligence platform, bringing in your data from all of your different sources, creating that unified foundation to be able to then create insights. With generative AI, the Mosaic ML acquisition from Databricks, we've then included adding the capability to use generative AI, which allows you to easily scale and use your data and AI and really bring additional insights. 80% of the success of AI, though, is the data, which means that in a composable CDP, we need that rich source of information to be able to create the most customized, personalized, and targeted messages, and then automate that service for customers. An example of where this composable CDP was put in place is Waycamp. Waycamp was using previously a legacy data warehouse and moved to the data intelligence platform to build a unified environment for all of their data and AI needs. It's created an opportunity for them to have a more personalized experience for their consumers. And what that's driven for them is a 2x increase in revenue just based on that personalization. And with it, a 70% reduction in operating costs with that modern data and AI architecture. Of course, it's not just Databricks that contributes to this. We work with a tremendous ecosystem of partners, and we're able to bring together any of the capabilities that you're looking for, whether it's something that you want to build directly on Databricks or something that you have already. So some of our partners listed here in the data acquisition enrichment, identity resolution, activation, and destination are on here. We work very closely with partners to ensure that you have the right solution for you and for the needs that you have in your business. By creating this centralized repository and leveraging just the components that you need, it drives down your total cost of ownership while delivering the same or better results. An example of where we've done this with a partner is Burberry. So Burberry has been using Databricks as their foundational platform, along with Snowplow, one of our partners, their behavioral data platform, to bring in clickstream data and be able to realize their real-time AI-ready customer 360 from across all digital touchpoints. There are over 40 personalized models that they'd already built in Databricks to cover tasks like product recommendations or propensity scoring, customer lifetime value, and so forth. The models instantly recalculate the data before it goes into an activation system so that the insights and the inference are always up to date. And what this has done for Burberry is it's allowed them to move from what they had previously been doing was a daily update of data to now having information available for activation within 5 minutes. And that has also given them the capacity to move the duration for their first-party cookies from 7 days up to 1 year, collecting a much longer insight into their customer's journey and their considerations. Additionally, from a partner perspective, our partners also include some ISVs, so technologies that are built alongside Databricks. So you can choose from dozens of natively built on applications or tightly integrated ISVs that help you with data acquisition, enrichment and identity resolution activation, and even clean rooms with the folks like Habu. So for example, we work very closely with some of the CDPs you might already be leveraging, like Amperity or Action IQ or High Touch, to be able to bring additional capabilities that your marketing team is already familiar with while providing the benefits of that robust data and AI platform under the hood. If you're looking for more of a partner to help with the day-to-day on solution integration and consultancy, some of the partners that are certified for this work on a composable CDP and customer experience are Accenture, Deloitte, and Tredence. We work very closely with these teams to help you improve your business and technical work around customer experience. And then the other thing, if you're looking to just kind of get started or add some capabilities to your existing solution within Databricks, we have over 35 pre-built solution accelerators that can help. And that can include, as an example, things like product search, recommendation engines, customer lifetime value, segmentations, tremendous suite of these. These are all available on our website for you to use at any time. So if you are interested in leveraging your data and AI to improve customer experience, please do get in touch. We're happy to help. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Robin. Incredibly intriguing vision of the near future. As Rob said, my name is Alfredo Colas, and I guess what a better place for someone that leads data analytics and AI than the Data and AI Summit. So thank you, Databricks, for creating a summit just for me. So I truly, truly appreciate that. And I'll try to talk about how we're using all these elements to drive value and growth for Procter & Gamble. Starting by what is Procter & Gamble, many of you may not know the name itself, but I'm pretty sure that all of you have at least one, if not many, of these brands at your homes. Starting with a very humble origin, selling candles in Cincinnati 186 years ago, we have created a portfolio of daily use brands that play primarily in the categories of cleaning, hygiene, and health. And one of the common criteria across all these products and these categories is areas where product performance makes a significant difference in the decision the consumer makes about the purchase. As we think about our strategy and our vision, we believe in improving the lives of all consumers in small but meaningful ways every day, now, and for generations to come. And we do that with a strategy where we continue to grow the markets together and in partnership with our retail partners. We believe in delighting consumers. That comes to life in what we call our integrated growth strategy, which has 5 specific choices that build on each other to create excellent performance. First one is portfolio. I already talked about it. Second is about superiority in product, in packaging, in communication, in the retail execution in the stores that Rob was talking about, the superior value we want to provide to both customers and consumers of our products. We believe in driving productivity across the whole supply chain and our operations in order to free up the investments or the money to be able to afford everything else. We believe that we have to continuously to reinvent ourselves. We have been doing that for almost 200 years. And I would just want to highlight that if you look small there in the areas, one of the areas where we want to continue to disrupt ourselves is data and analytics. We're very much there at the top of the strategy of the company. And finally, our organization. One of our CEOs said over 80 years ago that our employees were our most important asset. And we continue to believe this and execute against this every day of the year. We want an organization that feels empowered, that is agile and is accountable to deliver these excellent results. This strategy has been working very well for the last 5 years, and we continue to double down on it, even if the situation around us continues to evolve and change. Supply chain and environmental sustainability are 2 areas where we are making a disproportionate focus. Today, we don't have enough time to talk about it. We also continue to insist in the importance of building digital fluency across our organization. And of course, we want to create a superior employee value equation in order to attract, retain, and develop the best talent in the industry. As we move into our specific world of data and analytics, this is our winning aspiration. This is what we declare to the company. This is what we declare to my full team. And that is that we want to be a source of competitive advantage and value creation for the company. We do that by enabling everyone, every employee, every business unit, make better decisions, faster decisions, powered by data and algorithms. And then we describe ourselves as the analytical heart of P&G. We debated for a long time whether we should be the brain or we should be the heart. In the end, I think we went for the heart because the same way as blood flows from all over the body into the heart, gets pumped and cleaned by the lungs, and then goes back across the body, that's exactly the way we think our ecosystem. We receive data, and Rob, we still don't have data sharing with everyone, but we receive data from all our internal systems and a lot of third parties. We bring it to life in our core data lake. Today, technically, is a lake house, but we haven't changed the internal commercialization name. It took me enough time to get everyone to recognize the name. And then what we provide is tool sets, capabilities, best practices to enable anyone in the company to go and publish that data, what we call data pipelines, make it available for others to activate and use. That's an area where Databricks is all across our ecosystem, but we have brought a Unity catalog over the last 2 years, and it's making a big difference in simplifying and accelerating the activation of data. This activation happens again through a number of platforms. First one is descriptive analytics, where we enable every employee to be able to explore, create reports, dashboards, and share with others. Similarly, we have created a platform to run all our AI and our Gen AI capabilities, and I'll talk about that more in a second. And lastly, we also use our core data lake, our data pipelines, to share data with multiple other systems. Transactional systems, multiple products across the company that use the information we provide to run every single process, to run every single decision that happens in the company. So what happens with AI at P&G? Around 3 years ago, we already had a very, very successful data science program in the company. It was creating a very, very significant amount of value. At the same time, the creation of machine learning models in our company was very artisanal. High quality, slow, and expensive. We needed to find a way to maintain that quality or improve it, reduce the cost, and dramatically accelerate the speed. As we thought about it, we needed the equivalent of our manufacturing facilities for products. We needed an AI factory. And that was actually our pitch to the company. We told them that if they invested in us, if they allow us to build the AI factory, we would be able to deliver value 10 times faster. We'd be able to afford algorithms that today, back then, were either too complicated or too expensive to deliver. They agreed with us, so we had to then go and build it. So the first thing we did was to map the life cycle of an algorithm. Look at the different stages they go through, and then all the technologies, all the capabilities that we needed to build to support that acceleration and lower cost. We also had to go back and talk to our organization and change the way we were working. We had to standardize our processes. We invested in the acceleration of Agile, DevOps, from code repositories to code branching strategies to CI/CD pipelines. In exchange for that, what we promised our organization was we were going to simplify their work. We're going to automate a lot of the activities, the toll, the administrative work that they didn't really enjoy anyway, so that they could focus much more of their time in value creation activities. At the same time, we also invested heavily in the increase or the expansion of our AI engineering organization. AI engineers work together with data scientists in the full end-to-end value chain that is needed to bring our models into production and into scale. What are the components of our AI factory? There are 4. The first one is AI Provisioner. And these are all the capabilities that are needed so that data scientists and AI engineers can self-provision automatically all the components, all the infrastructure that they need to run an AI project. This is a multi-cloud capability, local, multiple environments, including, of course, our friends in Databricks. Next one is our AI accelerator. These are code libraries. These are samples of code, best practices that they can go, CI/CD pipelines that they can go and reapply to, again, accelerate their speed to value. As we move into AI governance, these are tools that they need for risk assessments, for security, and for observability once your models go into production. And last but not least, AI extensions. And this is a set of toolkits that data scientists can leverage to help them in their process to bring models to production. For example, many times they may need to create a front end so that the user can interact with the model without having to be next to a data scientist or an AI engineer. So we have created toolkits that enable them to create simple websites that integrate automatically with our models with just a few clicks. We have now closed this year 2 of our AI factory, and we have been well above our expectations at the beginning of the program. Massive adoption across the company, maximum adoption across multiple domains, and we continue to invest in the expansion of our existing capabilities and continue to add more capabilities as we start our year 3. Of course, as we were building this, and because we were not busy enough, then December 2022 happened, and then everyone started talking about Gen AI, and the question was, okay, what are you going to do about it? And we decided to take a very similar approach. We decided to expand our definition of our AI factory and create what we call a generative AI platform. This is an abstraction layer running on our tenant where we provide access to multiple public LLMs in a way that is compliant with our stewardship, with our policies, our security guidelines. On top of that secure layer, we have created multiple products and made available globally across the company. The first one we launched was ChatPG. This was last fall. Incredible success. We have tens of thousands of users coming every day. We have incredible amount of users that permanently have a tab on their browser with ChatPG and helping them in everything they do. And basically, what it helps them is to drive personal productivity. It helps them with summarization. It helps them with ideation. They help them access better knowledge documents that they already have. This has actually been a great way to demonstrate that there was true value in building these capabilities. And we have seen massive adoption from across the businesses and actually an increase of demand of more capabilities. So this April, we came up with AskPG. And this allows us to access in a scalable and sustainable way the domain knowledge across all of P&G. So we have AskPG instances for multiple domains. We keep adding new ones every day, and we're seeing an exponential growth of adoption of AskPG. At the same time, we launched ImagePG, which, as you can imagine from the name, allows you to access multiple external models and create images within the PNG guidelines. As I said before, what is very important for us is that this is not connected to any one model. We are able to switch the models behind the scenes and create a completely transparent experience for our users. At the same time, we're seeing great explosion of demand across multiple other products across the company where they are accessing our platform in a programmatic way and where they really enjoy the fact that all the complexity of managing Gen AI is completely hidden from them. They just only need to worry about setting up an API call into the platform, and the rest is taken care of. Of course, productivity for our developers across the company is a very, very important priority, and we're similarly introducing tools into the daily life of every developer to help them improve their productivity. We have seen also very, very significant improvements, both in terms of quality and quantity of code they are able to deliver. And what is even more important for me, they are happier because they no longer have to go and do a lot of that boring work, and they can really focus in the areas where they truly make a difference. So as I bring this section to a close, a couple or a few takeaways, insights from our work that I hope you can reapply at least in part. The first one is to make sure you're clear on why you're doing this. What are your objectives? How do they connect to the business strategy, the business purpose? And of course, be sure to align that with the leadership of the company. Second one is investing in the organization. And this is not just the IT organization, this is everyone in the company. They need to understand the new expectations from data, they need to understand what AI enables. At P&G, we have created a multi-tier program with multiple planks, depending on whether we're talking about top executives, middle management, our most junior employees, and across the different domains that I was just talking. Next, we believe that the only way to deliver sustainable results is by investing in platforms. We're hearing about POCs never going to production. We have zero interest in POCs that never go to production. There's no value, there's no growth in those cases. We believe in standardizing practices, defining what are the hard points, what are also the soft points, to give agility, to give flexibility to the different organizations. This may seem as slowing you down in the short term, but it's definitely having an exponential effect. The more use cases, the more data, the more algorithms you want to run. And last but not least, the eternal question of build versus buy. Be very clear on what are the areas where you're going to create those capabilities internally. What is that you're going to insource, you're going to develop yourself, and then be very clear about who you're going to work with and all the rest. And that can be hyperscalers choices, that can be technology stacks choices, that can be system integrator choices. Make sure you find partners that have common values with you, where you have common objectives and develop win-win partnerships. We have many of those, several of them here I see in the room, but as this is a Databricks conference, I have to highlight, of course, Databricks, where we started our journey together back in 2017, and we have clearly found a way to create value for both companies every year and continue to grow. So very happy to be here with all of you and continue that journey together with our friends at Databricks. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you all a very successful summit and looking forward to seeing you around.
안녕하세요. 저는 데이터브릭스에서 유통산업 솔루션 아키텍트를 담당하고 있는 이인성이라고 합니다. 오늘 인더스트리 포럼에서는 다양한 유통 및 물류산업의 데이터브릭스 적용 방법에 대해서 살펴보았습니다. 제가 오늘 포럼을 마무리하며 몇 가지 추가적인 고객 사례와 데모를 시연하며 오늘 행사를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 데이터브릭스는 전 세계 만여 개 이상의 고객사에서 활용되고 있습니다. 특히 유통 분야에서 굉장히 큰 신뢰와 사랑을 받고 있습니다. 도매업, 소매업, 전자상거래업 등 국내외 다양한 유통사들이 데이터브릭스를 도입하여 기업들이 직면하고 있는 복잡한 비즈니스 문제를 해결하고 있습니다. 대표적인 고객 사례를 몇 가지만 살펴보면 9,000개의 의약품 유통망을 보유하고 있는 월그린스는 데이터브릭스를 도입하여 수요예측 모델을 개발을 하고 약품을 재분배하여 특정 지역의 약품이 부족해지거나 과해지지 않도록 하는 예측 모델을 만들었습니다. 또한 처방전 검토 시에 환자의 과거 이력과 현재 처방전을 비교해서 처방하는 약물이 어떤 환자에게 알레르기 반응을 일으키지 않는지 확인하는 즉시 확인할 수 있는 실시간 업무 모델로 진화하였습니다. 두 번째로 비아사는 자사가 보유하고 있는 1억 명이 넘는 고객 데이터를 데이터브릭스에서 분석을 해서 240억 건의 데이터를 다루는 머신러닝 모델을 개발하였습니다. 그리고 해당 머신러닝 모델을 MLflow를 활용을 해서 머신러닝 모델 개방 생산성을 대폭 향상시켰습니다. 세 번째로 크로거사의 분석 전문 자회사인 84.51은 크로거사가 고민하는 다양한 매출 증대를 위한 과제를 데이터브릭스 내에서 직접 실험하고 테스트하여서 머신러닝 모델을 개발하였습니다. 분석을 시작하기 전에 모든 데이터를 데이터브릭스로 통합을 하였고 MLflow를 통해서 MLOps 환경을 구성할 수 있었습니다. 그 결과 머신러닝 워크플로우가 100배 증가될 수 있는 환경으로 진화하였습니다. 마지막으로 식품을 유통하는 구스토사는 자사의 데이터를 데이터브릭스로 적재하여 가장 많은 수요를 발생시킬 수 있는 최적의 레시피를 만드는 머신러닝 모델을 개발을 하였고 베지터리언이라던가 비건들을 대상으로도 높은 수익을 낼 수 있도록 다양한 레시피 개발을 할 수 있는 환경을 구성하였습니다. 이렇게 다양한 유통업에서 활용 중인 데이터브릭스는 시장 조사기관들로부터 매우 긍정적인 평가를 받고 있습니다. 데이터 레이크하우스 분야, 스트리밍 분석 분야, 데이터 사이언스 분야에서 최고 수준의 클라우드 서비스로 평가받고 있습니다. 이렇듯 데이터 통합 및 워크로드 통합에 특화되어 있는 데이터브릭스가 실제로 어떻게 동작하는지 살펴보도록 하겠습니다. 네, 지금 화면에 보이시는 화면이 데이터브릭스의 워크스페이스 화면입니다. 화면 왼쪽에 보시는 것처럼 데이터브릭스는 기본적으로 모든 메뉴를 왼쪽 메뉴 패널에 가지고 있고요. SQL 처리, 데이터 엔지니어링 처리, 머신러닝 처리들을 할 수 있고 각각의 프로그래밍 언어는 파이썬, SQL, 스칼라, R 등 여러 가지 프로그래밍 언어를 통해서 노트북 환경에서 개발을 할 수 있습니다. 특히 SQL에 특화되어 있는 데이터브릭스는 화면에 보시는 것처럼 SQL 결과를 그리드 형태로 확인을 하실 수가 있습니다. 그렇게 출력된 결과는 그리드 형태뿐만 아니라 바 차트, 라인 차트, 파이 차트와 같은 시각화 차트를 즉시 확인을 할 수 있으며 데이터 프로필 기능을 통해서 테이블 내에 데이터가 어떤 형태로 분포되어 있는지를 확인을 할 수가 있고 결측치라던가 혹은 0값이라던가 하는 이상값들에 대한 분포도 동시에 확인을 할 수가 있습니다. 그리고 이러한 값들은 수치형 값들, 카테고리 값들로 구분을 하여서 데이터가 테이블 내에 어떻게 분포가 되어 있는지를 확인을 할 수 있고 그렇게 만들어진 노트북들은 워크플로우를 통해서 하나의 파이프라인으로 만들 수 있습니다. 지금 화면에 보이시는 것처럼 저희는 파이프라인을 브론즈, 실버, 골드라고 하는 영역으로 구분을 하고 있고 각각의 파이프라인 안에 있는 타스크들은 조금 전에 저희가 함께 살펴봤던 노트북 형태로 이렇게 관리가 됩니다. 그러면 각각의 타스크가 실행됐을 때 이 노트북들이 실행이 되는 거고 그 결과로서 테이블의 그리드 형태나 지금 보시는 것처럼 어떤 이미지 혹은 그래프 형태로 확인을 하실 수가 있고 저렇게 확인하는 거에 나아가서 저러한 결과를 가지고 대시보드를 만들 수 있는 대시보드 환경도 제공을 하고 있습니다. 대시보드는 바 차트, 파이 차트, 라인 차트 등등 다양한 시각화 도구들을 제공하고 있으며 라인 차트 같은 경우에는 이렇게 드래그 앤 드롭을 통해서 줌인, 줌아웃을 통해서 세밀한 분석을 해볼 수가 있습니다. 그리드 같은 경우에는 데이터를 테이블 형태로 출력을 할 수 있고 각각의 페이지를 이동을 해가면서 확인할 수가 있고 CSV나 엑셀과 같은 파일 형태로도 다운을 받아서 활용을 할 수 있습니다. 그리고 대시보드 내에서 필터 기능을 제공을 해서 필터를 적용해서 화면에 있는 다양한 차트나 그리드를 필터 조건에 의해서 확인을 해볼 수 있는, 분석을 할 수 있는 그러한 환경을 제공을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 화면에 보이시는 것처럼 각각의 필터 조건이라던가 아니면 클릭을 했을 때 나오는 조건들로 분석을 해보실 수가 있고요. 그리고 데이터브릭스는 다양한 LLM과 관련된 기능들을 제공을 하고 있습니다. 예를 들면 대표적인 생성형 AI 기술 중에 하나인 텍스트 투 SQL을 통해서 기존에 우리가 가지고 있는 데이터를 자연어로, 한글 자연어로 조회를 해볼 수가 있습니다. 예를 들면 판매 금액이 높은 도시 순서를 10개를 보여주세요 라는 질의를 보냈을 때 데이터브릭스 지니라고 하는 서비스가 테이블이 가지고 있는 스키마 정보들, 예를 들면 커스터머 아이디, 커스터머 네임 등등 스키마 아이디와 그리고 사용자가 질의한 저 프롬프트를 함께 묶어서 LLM 모델로 전달을 하면 LLM 모델이 지금 보시는 것 같이 SQL문을 만들어줍니다. 그리고 그 SQL문을 데이터브릭스 SQL 웨어하우스에서 실행을 하고 그 결과를 사용자에게 제공을 해주게 되죠. 이 지니 서비스는 이전에 질의했던 내용들에 대한 컨텍스트를 기억을 하고 있어서 지금 보시는 것처럼 위 결과를 바탕으로 또 다른 질의를 했을 경우에는 위에 있던 컨텍스트를 포함을 해서 질의를 다시 하게 됩니다. 그러면 위에 있던 내용을 반영을 해서 결과가 새롭게 나오는 것을 확인을 할 수가 있습니다. 위에 있는 내용들을 가지고 만약에 어떤 데이터에 대한 조작을 요청을 한다라고 하면 지금 보시는 것처럼 위에 있는 데이터 중에 일부 데이터, 수치 데이터를 나누어서 곱해서 조작을 해서 표현을 해달라고 하면 마찬가지로 앞서 있었던 컨텍스트를 모두 포함해서 질의를 하고 그 결과를 사용자에게 제공을 해줍니다. 그리고 그 질의 결과가 마음에 들었을 때는 저 좋아요 혹은 싫어요 버튼을 누르게 되면 그 다음 질의에서도 비슷한 형태로 쿼리가 생성되고 실행이 될 수 있게끔 구성이 되어 있습니다. 수치형 데이터 처리, 문자형 데이터 처리 등등도 자연어를 통해서 대화 형태로 지니에 요청을 하게 되면 이 지니가 LLM 서비스를 통해서 앞에 있는 컨텍스트와 지금 현재 보내고 있는 프롬프트를 함께 조합을 해서 앞에 있는 내용을 수정을 해서 새로운 쿼리를 만들어서 사용자에게 제공을 해주고 있습니다. 이렇게 해서 복잡한 질의라던가 혹은 여러 개의 테이블을 조인을 하거나 유니온을 해야 되는 이러한 시나리오들을 모두 자연어로 대응을 할 수도 있고요. 그렇게 만들어진 데이터를 시각화를 해서 보여줄 수도 있습니다. 단순하게 그리드 형태로만 데이터를 확인을 하는 것이 아니라 어떤 바 차트나 라인 차트나 파이 차트처럼 시각화 형태로 데이터를 요청을 하게 되면 지니가 이번에는 SQL이 아닌 베가라고 하는 자바스크립트 기반의 시각화 라이브러리를 호출을 해서 이렇게 화면에 보시는 것처럼 시각화 표현을 할 수가 있습니다. 그리고 앞서 만들어진 시각화에 대한 컨텍스트를 함께 담아서 어떤 차트를 수정을 해주세요 라고 요청을 한다면 지금 보시는 것처럼 차트에 대한 내용을 수정을 해서 사용자에게 보여주게 되고 거기에 대한 배가 코드가 자바스크립트 코드가 어떻게 생성이 됐는지를 이렇게 확인을 해볼 수가 있습니다. 그리고 사용자가 좋아요 또는 싫어요 혹은 어떤 프롬프트를 질의를 했을 때 거기에 대한 이력들을 쭉 남겨놓고 관리자가 사용자들이 어떤 질문을 자주 했는지 그리고 어떤 질문에 좋은 평가를 했는지를 이렇게 확인을 해볼 수가 있습니다. 그래서 다양한 생성형 AI 기술들을 통해서 단순하게 이 지니뿐만 아니라 어떤 코드를 개발할 때도 생성형 AI의 지원을 받을 수도 있고 쿼리를 개발할 때도 파이썬 코드를 개발할 때도 지원을 받을 수가 있고 시각화 대시보드를 만들 때도 자연어를 통해서 대시보드를 만드는 AI, BI 기능들을 대거 탑재를 하고 있습니다. 네, 이렇게 간단하게 데이터브릭스를 활용하는 방법을 살펴보았습니다. 데이터브릭스와 함께 더 진화된 유통환경이 실현되기를 기대를 해보면서 오늘 인더스트리 포럼을 마치도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 참석해주신 모든 분들께 감사의 인사를 드립니다. 감사합니다.